so big. It was gnarly. It was draining so much water off the reef that it just looked like a whitewater rapid coming back out to sea as each wave was breaking. Like, it was the scariest shit I've ever seen.
Anyway, Marty, welcome back, mate. This is round 2 for us. So first time we recorded, we had a couple of audio issues at the start. So we're redoing the start. Then we're going to splice them both together. So if you notice a bit of a change in story flow, that's why. But Marty, thanks for coming back on, mate. I appreciate it.
Yeah, cheers, Dan. Nice to be here again.
Yeah, mate. Another beautiful day down in Tassie.
It's she's a bit rough out there today, but we've had it was horrendous yesterday. It was bucketing rain all day, so it's nice to have a bit of sun out. The wind's picked up, and hopefully we might get a little bit of swell out of it. It's been flat for days, so it's that time of year. It's getting into summer, and we don't usually get too many swells, so I don't really have high expectations, but I'm just getting pretty itchy to get in the ocean in general.
Yeah, it gets like that. It's flat up here, flat as a tack. That's why fishing's picked up. The bonito have turned up, so had a bit of fun with them this morning, and it's a good time getting down there. But mate, look, we'll get into it. So obviously we've got your book here, When the Ocean Awakens. So it's sick. I'm sure I say it more in the other parts, but like even just that photo. So I'm gonna have a guess that's you up there.
Yeah, that was a really wild, stormy day down at Shippies. We're actually down there filming for David Attenborough.
Oh, no way.
Documentary, yeah. So they were down there with all their big rig camera gear and that, and it was such a big swell. It was like a point swell and super windy, but they wanted me to sort of paddle out and and they wanted me to sort of reenact as if I'd had a wipeout. So initially they just wanted me to wait for a set and then go into the impact zone and sort of fluff around in the whitewash, so it looked like I just had a wipeout. But I ended up going into the impact zone and sort of pushed my limits a bit, and ended up biggest set of the day came through. I ended up copping it on the head. So they would have got the sickest footage. I don't even think they used that clip.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah, I was just getting rolled through on like a 15-foot rogue day down past the rocks and that. And yeah, I ended up all sweet. But yeah, it was just pretty funny scenario. It wasn't meant to go down that way. But yeah, they got some amazing photos from that day as well. And I think that one's pretty special. Like, generally everyone has, if it's a surfing book, you got some hero image of a big wave or someone doing something crazy on it and that. And I really wanted to do something different to make the reader or whoever was walking past and seeing the book sort of ponder a bit more about what the book's about and maybe draw them to it, to sort of open it up and have a look. And I think that image just creates that vibe, and it's just got like, you've got the ocean there, you've got the human in amongst it, and then you're just in like sort of vaguely in the background, you can see the shape of the coastline as well, and it all just looks rough and raw and moody, and the contrasting colours of the contrasting black and white just really pops. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, it stands out too for sure, because like obviously we'll put that on there, but like that's a thick swell you're going over there too. Like you can tell that's not your everyday sort of paddle out. I think a lot of those surf books too, they'll have a bloke in a barrel or something just charging a monster wave. So that one's unique for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that photo. And the rest of the photos in the book, they're all crazy.
Yeah,
every one of them.
Thanks.
Like I said the other day, that it's taken me so long to read this thing because I just keep looking at the photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ripper.
Cool. I love to hear that.
Yeah, no, it's amazing that you got it all together. But look, for anyone who doesn't know who you are or anything, and for myself as well, like take me way back how you found yourself in that shot. Like how did you fall in love with the ocean? How did you start chasing these crazy waves? And where did that all begin for you?
Well, I guess you can take it way back. And I guess it runs in a bit in my blood. So my dad grew up in a small island in Greece called Lipsi. his mum wasn't very well and they were really poor. So from a young age, like 4 or 5 years old, he was sort of fending for himself and providing for the family and that. So they live obviously a small island surrounded by water. So fishing was his thing. So he taught himself how to fish, how to dive. And, ockies were his thing back then, octopus. He'd go diving down, grab them and prep them up and feed the family. And, ockies are still his thing to this day.
Oh, really?
He still love, like, I've got a heap of mates that are cray fishermen and that, and they're always getting them in the pots and bringing them home for him. And he still does the traditional preparation and he pickles them these days and hands them out to all the people in the community and his friends and family and that. That's sort of his thing. He loves doing that. But back when he was a kid, so as he got older, the elder fishermen sort of started to take notice of what he was doing. He was always hanging around the wharfs and that area, and they started taking him out on the boats and teaching him how to fish off the boats and giving him a little bit of work and that. He got paid fuck all, but it was more about being able to provide for his family and bringing home a meal each night. During that period, his brother and his sisters moved over to Australia, so it was just him left back in Greece with his mum. And he started to work on the bigger fishing vessels that would go offshore, go out for days, sometimes weeks at a time, into more of the open ocean. And then he started to miss his other family, his sisters and brother and that, and so he started to sort of work out a plan on how to get to Australia. He was able to get a job on an international cargo vessel, which worked all around the world. And while he was on that boat, he just used it as a time to save as much money as he could. They got paid while they were working actually on the boat, but it was more to do with, like the black market side of being able to get away with what they could. And so they'd be going into certain countries, loading up on watches and then going to another country, offloading them, making money, or swapping them for like hashish and then going to another country, offloading that. And so they were just hustling and just making money where they could. And he's got some pretty gnarly stories about, dealing with certain things that happened during that period, whether it be to do with the black market or to do with people on the boat trying to steal his cash. And he's got this gnarly scar that's right next to his spine where some crew that were working on the boat tried to rob him one night and he ended up getting knifed in the back and just missing his spinal cord. And
out at sea. While they were out at sea, you got knifed?
Yeah.
Way.
So they sort of he caught him trying to rob his money because he had a stash on the boat, and he obviously confronted him about it, and it was like 5-on-1, and he ended up getting knifed in the back. It was apparently it was like the guy didn't really want to do it, but it was sort of a bit of a circumstance and it ended up happening. But he's all good. But I guess so. He spent his life on the water as a kid, and then ended up on the cargo vessel, and then that vessel actually got to Port Lincoln in South Australia, and he jumped ship, and he was on the run for a while. The authorities were after him. Somehow he had an uncle that had some type of connection to Gough Whitlam, who was Prime Minister at the time, and was able to get a pardon. And so fast forward a few years, and he'd met Mum, and a few years later, me and my sister were on the program, and that's that. But I think that Dad growing up on the ocean and pretty much living on the ocean his whole childhood is where it all started for me, and that's pretty much where it started to run through my veins.
Yeah, okay. And that I guess that adventure or the pioneering side of things, do you get that from him and his stories, or is it just something inside you?
Like I remember as a kid just so many stories about things that happened to him as a child, and like I'd go to bed every night just like, so he worked 6 days a week. So during the week he'd work as a cleaner, a split shift as a cleaner at a high school. during that split, he'd work at a fish and chip shop. So he was getting up at 5 a.m. and getting home at 7:30 at night.
Wow.
So the only time I'd really see him was at bedtime. He'd put me to bed every night and tell me these stories. So it was really nice and inspirational to hear that, and that was sort of my connection with my dad.
Yeah.
And yeah, on Saturdays he'd be working back in the fish and chip shops as well. You know, it was pretty hard on my mum back then. Obviously dealing with us kids. She was suffering mental health issues. She had a mental illness, and back then there was no education around it, no understanding around it. Us as kids didn't have a clue. So, you know, we didn't know what was going on when she'd go downhill or flip out and that. And so it was pretty interesting times. And I guess for us as kids, we were always looking for that escape, like just looking to get away and find peace. And luckily our house backed onto some bushland. And so we'd spend our time up in this bushland just missioning, just going walking into the unknown. There was this creek up there, and we'd always just follow the creek as far up into the hills as we could. And, you know, you'd just be out there and you couldn't hear a single thing apart from the birds or the rustling of the trees in the wind. And I think, you know, those memories just stick with you for life, you know, and that just feeling of being free as well was just something that, yeah, just sticks with me always.
Always chasing it, yeah. And then, like Tassie in itself, it's a pretty. I haven't been to Tassie, but from what I've seen or heard, it's a pretty special place in itself, like different to mainland Australia. Is it still, or even back then? Like I'm guessing the population was just low, and there wasn't many people around. Is that why you had so much exploring to do?
Yeah, I mean, if I take it back to us growing up, and sort of looking for those escapes. Where we were growing up, it was in a pretty ghetto neighbourhood. Like it was in the northern suburbs of Hobart, and nowhere near the beach, nowhere near the ocean. People had no understanding about surfing and that. The only connection we still had with the ocean was, you know, my parents still loved taking us away camping in the holidays and that kind of stuff. But my dad, when the weather was looking good, my dad would knock off work on a Saturday afternoon and get home, stir me up, and then he would pack the car and we'd be off on an adventure, you know, and we'd chuck a mattress in the back of the van, hook the tinny on the back, and then off we'd go down the coast. And they were awesome little getaways, you know. Like we'd get there pretty late in the afternoon as the sun was setting, go fishing off the jetty till 9 or 10 at night, and then we're up before the sun was up, putting the boat in the water, and then we'd just go out fishing all day. And they were pretty special moments that also, I think, ingrained that adventure type mentality into me at a young age.
Yeah, it's pretty special. It's a special upbringing. And you touched on it there, growing up in sort of ghetto suburbs. So you touch on that in the book a little bit as well, the gangs around when you were a fair bit younger?
Yeah. I mean,
not something I'd pick from Tassie.
We were lucky because we were, it was a pretty gnarly neighbourhood and gnarly area, but where our house was, it wasn't so bad. So we had some pretty cool crew that we used to hang out with as kids and that, but we also socialized a lot with a lot less fortunate kids that were coming from really, really gnarly households, lots of domestic violence, lots of drugs and alcohol, all that kind of shit that you find in these areas. So yeah, and you know, going through school, like I was always a bit of a, as I say in the book, a bit of an oddball. Like, you know, I was a bit different to everyone else. As I started to get my passion for surfing and that, I started to, I guess, flow into that type of style. So I'd have a bit of long hair and, you know, the loose fitting jeans and skate shoes and listening to Nirvana and all that. And it sort of didn't really fit into that type of people out there. And so I copped so much shit growing up. I got bullied a fair bit. I think the thing I was lucky with, I was pretty good at sport. And a lot of the bogans, it might sound weird, but a lot of the bogans were, they were footy players and that type of shit. And so if you were good at that, you sort of had a little bit of respect from them too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it's like that everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah. But high school was gnarly. I remember so many times. I remember, they were always about setting up fights. So fighting was just the thing, and you never knew when you were going to get picked out to go into the netball court to brawl it out with some other kid that you had no beef with. It was pretty weird, and it was scary at times too. Like a lot of gangs had come into the schools, and at a young age, you're like 13, 14, and you're having gangs coming in with knives and taking on teachers and fucking it was pretty raw, and it just sort of opened your eyes up to I guess the people that are out there in the world, and you're amongst it. And a lot of the kids I went to school with are dead, in jail, bloody all kinds of shit. I mean, a lot of them have gone on to do amazing things, I'm sure, but you also hear about the ones that have gone off the rails and that too, which is quite sad. But
yeah. And is it like a drugs problem, or is it boredom, or where did that all stem from?
It's a cycle. It's a cycle where their parents have, whether it be addictions or it's a full cycle. It's a family cycle. So their parents would be alcoholics or drug addicts or anything like that, have no care for them and show no respect for anyone. And so that's what the product of your environment, really.
Of course.
Unless there's certain major things that happen in your life, generally you are a product of your environment. And if you don't have any other influences, unfortunately, that's most likely the track you're going to go down as well. So I think that's sort of what happened to a lot of people.
Yeah. Is it like that now? It's sort of changed a bit these days?
I think it's
certain areas, hey?
It's certain areas have changed a little bit, but the same shit's happening. You see that cycle happening time and time again when you go into certain neighborhoods and say, like, I was working as a firefighter and would do a lot of work, like they'd go to a lot of house fires and that kind of stuff, and you'd be going down the street to try to potentially save someone's life, and you're getting rocks thrown through your window of the fire truck because kids are just out there causing shit. They want to cause trouble, and they live off drama. It's like they thrive on it, and that's all they're looking for.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for kids for sure, and I guess that's like a lot of these coastal, not so much you back then, but a lot of these coastal communities find the ocean, and there's some crazy surfers come out of that sort of thing, having that as an influence. But we touched on it in the last one a bit, so hopefully I'm not crossing over too much. But the crew you have down there, it's crazy. And like I said in the last one as well, bodyboarders, surfers, spearos, fishermen, everything all together. Did that crew start back in school, or is this something you've developed because you weren't living near the beach at that time, and then I think you shifted? So when did this crew come together, and how did that form?
Yeah, so when I was living back in the suburbs, I did have mates out there that did surf, and once they got their licenses, they were older than me, and they'd take me surfing and would be able to sort of get around it. But I didn't really know anyone that lived at the beach. I didn't really know anyone that sort of was fully immersed in that lifestyle. And then it wasn't until my parents packed up and we moved and did a full sea change, and we moved to a place called Clifton Beach, where I still live now. And that was where I changed schools, and I started to meet people that did have that same, I guess, passion that I was developing for surfing. And they already had it. They'd been surfing since I was full grom. So for me to start being around these people and go, fuck, I'm connecting hard with these people. Like, I'm really they're inspiring me. I'm getting energy off them, and so it was a really uplifting time, I suppose, because I felt I finally found where I belong, and like I knew it. I knew straight away that I finally found where I belong and the people that understand me fully. And then so while I was at school, just doing, I guess, year 11 and 12, finishing off college, that was where I started to meet like Stu Gibson, Andy Chisholm, like countless other surfers as well, and that was where I think those last couple of years at school was where I really started to develop a friendship, and our crew started to, I guess, blossom from there. That was, I guess, the time where we sort of started to chase swells, to start looking at weather patterns, and I guess to start pushing ourselves. And, you know, as I think I touched in the last talk that we had, it sort of organically grew from there. If you want something, or if you're passionate about something, and there's not many crew in the area doing it, you're sort of drawn to the people that are. So organically our crew grew from there into what we still are these days. A lot of the crew that I surfed with back then, I still surf with these days.
It's so good. And even that, like Tassie itself, another thing we touched on afterwards, that the surf's not that great down there. Aside from these shippies waves, you were saying it's pretty average around the area you're sort of living.
Yeah, so I think that's so because the surf is so average around the Hobart area and doesn't really turn on that much, and it is really sheltered from swells, you are drawn to the adventure side of it, like without even meaning to. Because if you want to go get good waves, or if you want to go get bigger swells, you don't have a choice. You got to get in the car. You got to drive a couple of hours. You got to walk. You got to go by boat. You got to have those adventure aspects in play to actually go and score good waves. So, which is really good. You know, we didn't need to force it. It was just like, fuck, okay, what's the swell doing? Where can we go? Righto, let's put it into action, pack the car, and off we go. And it's during those adventures that the real, I guess, the fun happens. You know, like you're in a car with your mates, you're talking shit, you're getting up to mischief, you're going into places you've never been before, and that's the sort of the thing down here. Was when we were growing up and we were going on these missions, we didn't know what was over the next headland, or around the next corner, or in the next bay, or if we walked another couple of kilometers, would we find something else? Like, there was always that excitement, because to an extent it hadn't really been searched, and because there was no internet or anything back then, there was no sort of stories of it unless someone told you firsthand, or you'd heard something along the grapevine. You didn't really know. So that excitement part was just something that we thrived on.
Yeah, I think most surfers can relate to that, because even myself growing up, I had some pretty good waves around me fairly consistently, but we'd still go on those missions. You'd still pack the car and drive 4 or 5 hours south for sunrise or something like that, just looking for a wave that may be as good, may be worse, and you don't know. Yeah. You're just going. Yeah. So those adventures, they're sick, and you got so many in this book, so many waves, in particular waves and everything, and yeah, it's awesome to read. And another thing we sort of briefly spoke about after our last talk, the step up to shippies. So you're surfing everyday waves, like nothing special, nothing real slabby or anything like that. And then you go to the step up to shippies. There's no little steps. There's just one big leap. How was that?
I guess we do have a couple of waves that you can get sort of a taste for bigger surf, but again, they're really remote, and you've really got to put in the time and effort to go and score those waves. And when they're on, there's some other really good smaller waves that break as well that are quite fickle. So so we don't really have a nice sort of stepping stone up to go from like your 2 foot beaches to 8 to 10 foot shippies. So I guess it's quite daunting, and I guess that's sort of why I guess people that come from the mainland and that are a lot better off, because like you guys do have so many waves. Like when you get a swell on the East Coast or something, you've got such a range of setups that, you know, that you can surf from 2 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot, 8 foot, 12 foot, and so on. Whereas we don't. We sort of just have your 2 foot beaches, and then you jump in the deep end, and it's quick. Well, back for me, it was pretty daunting. I'd had a couple of sessions at a spot down south where I'd been able to sort of get sort of 10 foot plus waves, and apart from that, it was like, 4 to 6 foot was my max. And then to go sit out at shippies and see it for the first time at like 10 to 12 foot plus, it was really scary. And I knew when I first went out to shippies on that first time, I didn't have any intention to surf it. I knew it was way out of my league, both my skill level and where I was at mentally as well. I just wasn't ready for it, but I loved every minute of it. I loved the mission to get down there. We went around in a little tinny, and I was with like Andy Campbell and James Polanowski, Brett Stokes and Andrew Chisholm. And so I was with like these lords that I looked up to so much. And then to watch Cambo paddle out and get a couple of waves, and I just jumped in my weddy and I just paddled as close as I could to where the barrel was spitting, because all I wanted to do was just feel the energy from that wave. And I just wanted to cop one of those spits in the head. I just wanted to feel that feeling, because you see it on your surf vids and like a pipe and that kind of stuff all the time. You see a spit that's just got so much energy, and you just like, I just wanted to get that feeling. So I just paddled out and I sat in the channel and I watched Cambo get a few waves. And I think it was his second or third wave, he wiped out and hurt his back real bad, and just managed to somehow swim to the boat, and that was it. We packed up, and that was my first introduction to the place.
Yeah, it's so cool. And then, so now you guys, like, you go through it in the book, and there's so many generations now doing it. Like, Harry Holmacross or Noah Hassett. I know Noah looks up to you. We had Richie on here do a bit of a chat, and I think he had that Santa Claus photo of you on his wall. That'd be tough for Richie, like going out there, seeing that wave, knowing his son wants to surf it. How do you intro new guys like Noah who are coming in, they're keen and they're doing everything they can to surf that wave, but then having that jump from, I guess, smaller stuff to something so extreme like shippies? How do you bring them in as these little local groms?
I guess I sort of took on what I was told and taught when I was younger. So, I mean, part of me going down south and surfing those, I guess, stepping stone waves was, I was told to do that from like Cambo and a few of the other older crew. So, that's sort of what I'd pass on to anyone younger that's got the idea of to get down to shippies one day, or anywhere else for that matter. Also, just your mental preparation. You've got to want it for the right reasons, and there's so much other stuff you can do in relation to safety and breath hold training, and like all that. I guess all that knowledge is so widely available now through courses you can do online or in person. But with Noah, there was a couple of them. There was a few of them coming through when Noah was coming through. It was Noah, Toby Lawrence, and George Vanderkillen. And so those three, it was sort of at the same time, they all reached out to me. They were all similar age, and were just saying how keen they were to, prep to go down and hit shippies one day. So I sort of had it. They were real young. They were like 14.
Well,
maybe younger, maybe one was older, but they were all around 13, 14 years old. And I was like, that's a bit of a responsibility for me to take them on board. And I didn't really want that, like if I'm going down to surf shippies, I sort of it's it can be daunting enough as it is, let alone having 3 groms that are relying on you, sort of thing. So I sort of got their parents involved and had a chat to them all, and we sort of went through everything and what I expected from them, and what I could provide for their kids and that kind of stuff, and it all went really well. They were all on board with it, and I think it was 6 months or something later, we're all down there having our first session together, and they're really good kids. They took everything on board. They listened and they put everything into action. And on that first session, I'm pretty sure they all got 1 or 2 waves and had a ball. And they've been going nuts ever since.
Yeah, and I guess from bringing in those parents and that sort of thing, like Richie, that's where this whole safety initiative sort of kicked off a bit, isn't it? Like when they come down and see what's involved, because he wants to be involved with shippies too. Like he's got no interest in surfing it from when we spoke to him, but to be able to do that safety ski is pretty epic.
Yeah, it's amazing, and you're exactly right. Like we did have small things in place for safety. A lot of us, there's a few of us that are firefighters, and there's others that are nurses and trained up with a lot of stuff that a lot of skills you can use if the shit hits the fan. But it's putting those, it's all good to have those skills, but you sort of need to make sure everyone's got those skills and everyone's trained up for different scenarios as much as you can. You can't, there's obviously a lot of shit that you can't predict that's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
But, you can do your best to make sure that you got everything covered, to a certain extent. Yeah. I can't remember what the question was.
We're talking about the shippy safety initiative, how that all sort of kicked off with Richie.
Yeah. So we've been pretty lucky over the years. We've been chasing it for over 20 years now, and especially at the start when we first got our jet skis and that, we were doing some really. I mean, we look back at it and we'd go, "Oh, we're doing some really silly shit." But back then, we didn't really have that in our minds. We just wanted to go nuts and we wanted to surf it as big as we could, and we were going around there when the wind was horrendous, but there was potential to get a huge wave, so that was a priority for us. So we were really lucky, really, really lucky over the years. There's been some pretty horrific shit, but we all got away with it, and it was a matter of time before something bigger happened, and it did with Harry home across, and we're really lucky that he's still with us. But that was the big one, that was the one where we're like, fuck, right, let's stop talking about this shit and stop thinking we can keep getting away with what we've got in place and step it up and take it to another level. And that's what's happened. And I'm pretty proud of everyone that's contributing and being a part of this initiative, and hopefully it just shows that it is making a difference, and it will do moving forward into the future as well.
Yeah, it's a pretty special thing, and I think historically surfers they can be larrikins and really out there and that sort of thing, but with your crew, like every time you get, like, I think it's pro guarding you had down there recently, like it just books out, everyone's there doing all those little first aid courses they do. I got to have a chat to those guys on here actually, but it's pretty impressive that everyone wants to get involved because they know how serious it is.
Yeah, huge shout out to pro guarding. They've helped us out so much.
Yep.
Not only with equipment, but with skills and knowledge and that, and we're so appreciative of everything that they've done for us. And they're a crew that know their shit, and we're really lucky.
Yeah. And so, do you boys ever chase waves elsewhere, or you live and breathe shippies and Tassie surfing as a whole? Are you always hanging around for that, or you got other waves on your radar across the world?
Like we spent years taking the gamble and heading off to other places on shippies style swells, and just hoping that we could, it was that lure, that adventure lure just dangling there, like
over the hill.
What else is out there? Can we discover something else? And shippies was that wasn't our discovery. That was, generation before us or 2 generations before us. So, we were always drawn to try to find something for us. And I guess that's Pedra. Pedra was our little thing. We were so lucky to, have Dave White sort of develop that connection with Dave over time, with our mates working for him, and then him taking us out on adventures, and then introducing us to that place, which we go into detail in the story. But there's definitely other waves that I'd like to check out at some stage while I'm still able. But Shippies is just, it's such a haunt, because like you don't want to miss it. The FOMO that we all get when we miss out on good shippies, it sucks so bad. And because like other crew are down there scoring, if it's on, like from my beach, I can sort of tell how big shippies is going to be and how clean it's going to be, and if it's offshore. So if I choose to not go down on a swell because I'm doubting something, or if I've got something else on that I can't, that I've got to prioritise, then if I take a look at Cliffy and I think it's pumping, it's such a nightmare. It does my head in. So I mean, getting back to your question, there's definitely other waves that work on the same conditions. I don't think any of them will surpass shippies. But it's just that tough one. Shippies, we know what it works on. We know when it's on, or to an extent, and you never want to miss out.
On a session at Shippies, it's pretty cool watching all the photographers flying down there for it and watching it. And I guess that's another part with the FOMO. If you're away, you can see what it's like that night after everyone's got back, because it goes straight on social media.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's funny. Like I got pretty bitter over the years about crew, posting same day stuff. Like that it's just there's days where I guess it might not look that good on the charts, but as a local, you've sort of got an inkling it's going to be on, and it's those types of days where you sort of get to yourself, or not to yourself, but with relatively low amounts of crowds. And but the thing is that there might only be sort of half a dozen good waves that come through that day, and you might be out there for 6 hours with like 3 other people. Half a dozen waves, so you get 2 waves each. And then those waves will be put on social media. So everyone thinks that if it goes on that night, people just look at the charts and go, oh yeah, that's the conditions.
True.
It looks cooking. I'm down there next time. Where it wasn't cooking, but there were good waves coming through. And so it's sort of it's a funny one. So I used to get real pissed off with people posting same day shit. Like I couldn't care less if it was a few days later or anything. But if it's same day, it just gives people that ability to just log on and go, okay, that's the forecast. That's what they scored. I'm going to compare that to the next time, which is, it's just fucking life and social media and the future, really. But I still have those little hang-ups.
Oh, fair enough too.
And on crowded days, it is what it is. On blatant swell forecasts, when lots of crew fly in, you got no control over what anyone does anyway. So it's bound to happen. But on those sort of semi sort of borderline days, they're the ones that that used to get me a bit cheesy.
Yeah, so those big southern swells, when they hit shippies, is it like a regular swell where you got just lines of sets every so often, or is it all over the place and that's why you only get so many waves in a day?
So I guess the biggest
without
thing
you giving too much away.
I mean it comes down to how clean the ocean is, really.
Right.
Like if it's a junky swell, there's not going to be as many good waves. That's sort of how simple it is. If it's a nice clean swell, then generally there's going to be more good waves breaking, because you're not waiting for the perfect one to line up, because each swell's sort of perfect. So yeah, that's pretty much as simple as it is.
The future of Tassie surfing. So obviously when you guys started out, Shippies probably wasn't as well known. You didn't have these older generations bringing you through, teaching you how to do it right. And I guess now with social media, there's more of an opportunity for them. So what do you see for the future of Shippies? Groms like Noah, George, all those sort of guys coming through.
Yeah, I guess for us back in the day, we were, as we sort of speak about in the book, and that, like, we were really lucky to have come on the scene at that time when Shippies was just taken off, and we, you know, for us, and I guess getting anything out of the industry, we were really lucky to be able to take advantage of that. You know, things have changed. Social media's come into place. Magazines have gone off the boil a bit, and the things have changed in a different direction. You know, it's going to be hard for a surfer to make a crust out of surfing down here. But you know, as far as the future of Shippies and that goes, I just hope that we have generations to come that can keep looking after the place. As I think we spoke about in the last potty, you know, localism, it is really important, not for going out there and being a prick, but for going out there and actually keeping order in the lineup. And, you know, in doing so, it creates a safer lineup as well. And, you know, that it just creates a nicer vibe and a better vibe, and there's not chaos amongst it. So if you know, as long as we can sort of keep having generations coming through and scoring pumping waves, and being able to sort of keep that vibe at Shippies to what it is now, then I think it's all good.
It's a win. Well, another question I just thought of then. So you get such crazy surfers coming down there from all over the world as well, as far as I know. Do you build networks with these people where if you got the young blokes or yourself traveling over to Tahiti, say, have you got this network connection now that you just travel around, you know these guys, you got that same respect you're giving them that they're giving you at Shippies, and you're sort of working together like that at all?
Yeah, I think it's not like some sort of written law or anything like that. It's more just a natural thing. Like, some people you connect with, some you don't really. Some you just see down at Shippies every now and then and say good day. Like, it's you know, really respectful in that, but you don't really have anything outside of that. But then there's others. Like, I got some of my best mates that I've met through Shippies, and yeah, I'm still hang out with them, still call them up all the time, and still travel with them if I'm chasing swells somewhere else or in their backyard. And yeah, we still have those connections. And I'm sure that's the same with a lot of the other boys too. You just, you know, that's you can't like fully connect with everyone on that super friendship level. So you end up sort of finding people amongst it that you do. And but you know, I don't think any of us really have any bad vibes with anyone, and you know, we're all pretty mutually respectable to anyone that comes down and that. And yeah, I think it's definitely, you definitely meet a lot of people over the years, and you like there's some that have been coming down since I first started surfing it, and yeah, still hang out, still catch up on the phone, and that is still really nice to have those friendships in place, and knowing that Shippies was the place that brought us all together. And you know, that's sort of what I guess a lot of us crew down here really appreciate, the fact that it's this beautiful place that holds so much energy and has given us so much enjoyment and challenged us over the years, but it's also brought so many people together, and it's pretty beautiful.
It's a hell of a spot, mate. But we might cut over to the second one. One thing I love about the whole book, like I've got it here next to me, and I could pull out a heap of names, but you go through bodyboarders, you know, you got a Spiro in there who I'm pretty sure bodyboards as well, surfers, photographers. You got Dave White in there, who's a fisherman. Like, Tassie's sort of ahead of the rest of the world in that sort of sense, because back in the day, and probably even now, a lot of surf books, it'd be almost taboo to mention a bodyboarder in a surf book. so did that just come naturally because you bodyboarded, or is it just the crew? Like it's more about, who you are as a person and just having a go and charging.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think So obviously, being a booger, I always had that. I guess I knew all the boogers because that's what I was. So yeah, I had that friendship already with them. And then I guess the waves that we surf down here, and it's starting to get like that more around the world now, like the slabbier style waves that I guess we were chasing. All the boogs were chasing too, so we were bound to be out surfing with them every time it was on. And then it got to shippies, and back in the early days, it was sometimes even hard to find people to go surfing with. But I had that. I guess I was friends with a lot of boogers, so I used to go surfing with them all the time. And I think down here, the surf community has always been a bit mixed.
Yeah.
Back 30 years ago, probably not so much. But early 2000s onwards, it's always been a little bit mixed, a bit crossed over. So we've always, enjoyed each other's company. And there's you only got to look at what they're doing out there, not only at shippies, but all around the world. Like they are pushing it harder than anyone. And even though there's, I guess, definitely waves that we probably can't get into on a stick, they're sort of leading the way in what's possible. And, they're turning and putting their head down and charging beyond the takeoffs. And it just gives you that inspiration, and not only inspiration for yourself, but just to go watch them do it. You're that stoked.
Yeah.
Someone's catching those waves and you're watching your mates get power kegged. It's pretty rad.
So we lost you there for a second, but we're back now. But let's jump into the book. Like this book, I showed you a bit before, but it's crazy. It's the best surf book I've ever read as far as stories go. And obviously at a classic, we're pretty passionate about the whole stories behind things. So the book itself, where'd the idea stem from?
Well, I guess it's, for the last 20 plus years, we've just we were, I guess, a bunch of groms or teenagers growing up, and we all had these dreams. And then, shippies came on the scene, and it was like all these crew from the mainland and overseas were flying down and just, I guess, in a way, like reaping the rewards that this wave was giving them. Like so much coverage in the magazines. They were out there getting the bombs. They were like first ones bringing jet skis down here and towing it, and we were just sort of sitting back going, fuck, this is like, we were in awe and total respect to everyone that did it. But at the same time, we were like, this is in our home. Like this is at one of our local breaks. Like we have an opportunity here to try to get to the top and really try to make it count while it's, I guess, evolving, and the surfing world was really tapping into what was happening down here. So that was really what sparked the motivation for us to really just give it our all and go out and just have a good crack. And so, 20 plus years later, just sort of sitting around, and we've done so much since then. Since those early years, we've done so much and we've achieved so much. There's been the craziest adventures, wipeouts, injuries, also, big wave awards and everything in between. And behind every wave, there's a pretty radical story. And there's always stories with adventure and that kind of stuff as well. So I really wanted to capture those moments and sort of bring them to life in this book. So paired with the craziest photography, like all the photographers down here, they're world renowned for what they do. Like they're some of the best in the world, surf photographers and landscape photographers as well. And to have those beautiful images that match these stories that these guys are telling us is just something pretty special. I guess I really wanted someone to be able to pick up the book and read any story from each of the characters, and whether they surf or not, or have an understanding of what it takes to surf bigger waves and all that kind of stuff, I wanted them to get that understanding. I wanted them to get that knowledge, and I really wanted the character's story to, I guess, go pretty deep in specific smaller moments. Just really break it down. So during a wipeout, what they're thinking inside, like if they're under the water and then they hear a bone break, but they know it's a crazy wipeout and they got to, maintain composure and stay calm. So I got the characters to talk about those moments in pretty deep detail, or whether they're catching the biggest wave of their life and what's going through their head as they're dropping down the face and dealing with, say, the step at shippies, and they know if they fall off, they're potentially in a life-threatening situation. So I really wanted to sort of bring that to every reader from all walks of life.
Yeah, you've 100% nailed that, mate. Like I got the book a little bit ago, and I've been trying to read it. I wanted to finish it before we spoke, but the pictures, they just keep distracting me. Like I read the story, I just stare at these pictures. It's just mind blowing, and the fact that you've got them all together through these photographers you're obviously mates with as well is just crazy. You don't see that kind of quality with the actual picture of the wave they're talking about. It's awesome. And you mentioned, that they're coming together a bit there. So this whole crew, and we mentioned it a bit before with the bodyboarders and the photographers and everything, how did that all come together for such a crew of hardcore surfers like yourself, charging waves like shippies, which is like, I guess 1% of surfers, or probably less, but so many in one area? How did that all come together?
Yeah, I guess when you think about it, like people that have the same passion and I guess the same goals and that they're always going to find each other. Yeah. And down here, like the surf community, it's nowhere near as big as the mainland or other parts around the world. So it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen that our crew was going to come together at some stage, because we had the same idea on what we wanted to do in life. So, back in the early days, like none of us had real jobs. Like, I mean, we were working, but we were working to fulfill our lifestyle. Like there was, none of us wanted to miss swells. So we all had jobs that we were either working on our own schedule, or a lot of them were like fishermen working on cray boats and that. So they were out there in the ocean, cray boats and ab divers and ab deckhands, So when it was really stormy or big swells, you weren't out there working anyway. So
true, yeah,
perfectly. Everything sort of aligned in those aspects. But it was pretty funny. Like we had this place called the Clubhouse where Stu Gibson, Alex Sawadsky, a couple of other crew lived on and off, and that was sort of our go-to zone. That was our hangout area, and that was where we sort of came together and had ideas about waves to chase, or would meet before swells and would meet after swells and get on the piss and that. But it was just this zone that we were all drawn to, and that was where I guess a lot of stuff went down. It actually got pretty hectic there for a bit, because we were there so much, and we're all on like the neighbourhood surrounded by, I guess, normal everyday people that work 9 to 5 and that kind of stuff, and so they're constantly driving past and seeing 5 or 10 cars at this house, usually a bit of music, usually a few crew carrying on. There was parties a fair bit and that, and I guess the cops got a bit suspicious and that kind of stuff, and we were also travelling a bit, so we were chasing swells, so we'd sort of leave Hobart, head away for a couple of days and fly back. And
suspicious.
A business person with a briefcase, that's probably pretty normal to do little runs like that. But for crew of our age, it looked like we looked like, it was probably a bit sus. So anyway, there was yeah, there was a bit of sort of tension with the cops over a bit of time, and I was actually went over to Sydney to chase a swell once, and I was only there for 2 days, and on the way back out, I was going through just whether you put the baggage through the carousel and that, and I got to the other side, and there was like 5 dudes in suits, and they just dragged me aside and took me into a room and just fully interrogated me. And I was there with a mate, and they told him to keep moving, and yeah, they just gave it to me. And like, why are you here? 100 questions about who paid for your flights, blah blah blah. What do you do? And like, yeah, they were just full thought it was drug runner. It was,
really?
100%. Yeah,
from Tassie to Sydney.
Yeah, yeah. It was full on, but it was a pisser, you know. Like I obviously wasn't, and yeah, it was just one of those things that happened. But I guess going back to what we were talking about with the crew and that, so yeah, it was just organically grew over time, and you know, it started off with shippies, and then it was like, what else is out there? Like, where else can we be chasing? And we were just fiends. Like, we just wanted to catch the gnarliest waves we could get. And so on the biggest swells, no matter what the winds were, we were still hunting down just rogue beasts. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was real fun. And then along came Pedra, and I won't sort of go into that too much, but because I speak about that in the book, but that was like just such a huge thing for us, let alone some of the other waves we had a crack at. But Pedra was just took it to another level, about what was out there, and about what was rideable and what could be done out there.
Yeah, Pedra makes me sick just watching it.
It's just so heavy. I don't think there's been a session that we've gone down there where someone hasn't got seriously injured.
Yeah,
it comes in, and it could be the best big wave in the world, the best big wave slab in the world, but then it just closes out. And
yeah,
it's so heavy, and it does your head in. And I scare myself constantly thinking about it, like going, oh, if you just backdoored it and it held open, oh, but what about if it closed? Then it's just like, yeah, it's that's the scariest wave I've ever surfed. And yeah, 100%.
Understandably, and I've got a few questions about Pedra a bit later on. But jumping back to the book, so obviously you got multiple generations of people in the book, like from Andy Campbell through you, all the homocrossers as well, and down in like Noah Hassett and that sort of thing. How did everyone? What was the reception like when you brought this idea to them? Were they all on board and asking them to contribute and that sort of thing? Or was there any pushback?
Yeah. No pushback. It was more, I guess, some people were quite easy to, like, from what went from, oh, I'll get all these interviews done in a few weeks, turned into well over a year.
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, surfers, they're pretty elusive. It's hard to get them in the one spot. And, you know, if I'm trying to track down 28, 30 of them, it's almost impossible. So, so there was no real pushback. It was just more, I guess a lot of them didn't really have an understanding fully of what I wanted to achieve with the book. I don't know if they just thought it was just an idea and it was never going to come to fruition. But,
yeah.
But yeah, it was. I knew from the get go. Like I put all my eggs in the one basket, and I was going for it. And I had the vision of what I wanted to achieve at the end, and nothing was going to stop me. And but yeah, so it took a while to get everyone and sit them down and interview them. But in the end, it was all good. Right, sort of just before I finished the editing process, had a couple of late ones jump on that I didn't think I was going to get stories from, and they ended up coming to the party, which was awesome. I guess to talk about who I have in the book, these are all the surfers that, amongst so many others that aren't in the book, I might add, but these are the surfers that really pushed me and inspired me on my journey, whether it be in the beginning or to this day. And I'm pretty proud to say that most of them still do it to this day that I started out with, and are still like the craziest out of anyone. And just to watch them still doing it to this day and going as hard as ever, it's epic. It's so good to just, I'm a pussy these days. I'm
not quite, mate.
Definitely not as gung-ho as I used to be, but, just to see what they get up to still, and the passion and the excitement and the froth that they get after having those sessions is just so epic.
It's so contagious too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I can see it in your face now.
Yeah.
Just pure froth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's well, you mentioned that backing yourself down a little bit now, like you're still doing crazy stuff, but there's a couple of incidents in the book, I think at the very start as well. Without going too much into the book, you start with, I guess, a horrific experience on your part. Have you had multiple of these? Is this what's backed you down, or is it just maturing a bit with age or something?
Sort of comes in stages. You might have something that knocks you down a bit, and whether that be a wipeout or life event, and you sort of change your mindset a little bit. And sometimes you come back and you fire right up, and you a perfect example is Jimmy Homer Cross, and his story's wild, and you've had him on.
I've had him on, yeah.
Just to come back from all those things and still have so much fire inside, and he's one of the guys I'm talking about to this day that's still just pushing it. But for me, that first story I'll go into, that rocked me a lot in relation to my confidence during wipeouts. I got a lot of triggers after that. Like, I was triggered a lot, after that. So if I was wiped out and I got to a certain feeling during that wipeout, it'd trigger me, and it'd take me back to that moment, and it'd really rattle me. It took me a few years to get over that. I still chased it. I was still passionate, but it was just during the wipeouts it was a really mental challenge for me to deal with. But an event happened in 2012. I mean, without going into too much personal stuff, I had a lot of shit going on in 2012 personally, and there was a lot of stuff that really made me feel or think that of the importance I played in my family, and I think that was a really, I guess so. To give some context, so I was in a pretty toxic relationship with a girlfriend at the time, that was it. And then I had my sister going through addiction, and I had my parents pretty much breaking up, and so I was dealing with these three things that were just, I'm like I see myself as like the healer of the family, and or the mediator and that kind of stuff. So to have all these things happen, it put a lot of, I guess, pressure on me. Like I was trying to save my sister's life at the time. I wouldn't tell my parents anything that was happening there because they were on the bricks. And then I had my own personal scenario going on as well. And then another really heavy thing happened where a really close person in our family took his own life. And then so I had all this shit going on, and then we got this massive swell. Biggest swell ever at Shippies. Like, it was one that was like on the charts, and it was just like, wow, this is next level. This is the one we've all been waiting for, we've all been prepping for, and we've all been wanting.
Yep.
And now I've got all these distractions in my life that putting me in this position where I'd really struggled to get my head around that I was going to go out and surf on this day. But somehow I did it. And, but I went down there in the frame of mind to start with. I was in the frame of mind that I'm just going to cruise and see what happens. And then we got down there, and it was the gnarliest shippies I've ever seen. It was, I think there's a few little photos and edits out there about this day, but I think it was 2020 or 2011, one of them. But it was so big. It was gnarly. It was draining so much water off the reef that it just looked like a whitewater rapid coming back out to sea as each wave was breaking. Like, it was the scariest shit I've ever seen. Like, it must have been like a foot or two deep. Wow. And really big period swell. It didn't come with an offshore, so it was a bit stormy and a bit of rough on the surface. But we're sitting down there and we're looking at it, and in my head I'm like, knowing that this is the day that, like, I'd waited for my whole life since I wanted all these things to happen. But yeah, had the distractions going on, and in the end, no one was surfing, everyone was just watching it, and I knew if I didn't grab the rope right then, me and my mate were just going to get on the ski and go back to the boat ramp. It was like I couldn't sit down there in that frame of mind and watch it for any longer, because I would have psyched myself out.
Yep.
So we ended up, I just told my mate, and he'd never towed anyone on a jet ski before.
Oh, no way.
The first time he'd towed anyone on a jet ski, and I just said, just take us out and we'll try to pick a couple off. And I ended up getting 2 smaller ones that were okay, and then this one behemoth came through, and it was almost too big for the reef. It started breaking and dropping chandeliers down, and I somehow made it around it, bottom turned, and pulled up into this barrel that was barreling in the channel where it never barrels. Jeez. And then I made it out, and then that was it. I just called it a day, and I just went, okay, on that last wave I really pushed it, and I don't think I'm going to have that much luck again. And it was that day that I went, okay, almost like job done. I've done what I wanted to achieve. And because it was like, if I die right now, I feel my whole family's going to die with me. Right. And that was really weighing heavily on me. And it was just like, it was such like, and I think back, and this might sound so selfish to so many people that actually went out and caught a wave that day, but you know, I wouldn't be the person that I am today if I didn't, I suppose. But it's just one of those things that in the moment you make decisions, and I'm thankful that was the right decision, and I survived, and I was able to keep chipping away at life. But that was sort of a big part of my journey where I just went, okay, I don't know if I'll ever do that again, because my life, it means so much to so many people, and yeah, I've really got to, I guess, be a lot more calculated with my choices.
Yeah, definitely not selfish of you, mate. You need those little bits of stoke.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this interview and how to sort of run through it, because I obviously don't want to give too much away about the book, because it's epic. Like, fuck, I can't recommend it enough. I thought when I got it, it'd be 100% shippies and just a bunch of crazy stories, but it's a lot about like the evolution of surfing in Tassie. And you go through that chronological order, I guess. I don't know if it was on purpose, but like starting with Andy Campbell and working your way through and finding shippies, and then you jump in there. So I guess what I'd sort of like to do is run through a couple of those phases, and in particular talk about shippies and then Pedra, maybe on a couple of things that aren't in the book, just to give a bit more of an understanding of it, and a couple of questions I've had anyway.
Yeah. Sure.
And obviously a lot of these things are covered in a lot more detail in the book. So I guess if you could give me a rundown of shippies as a whole, like underwater, above it, the risks, dangers, and just the place as a whole.
Well, I guess for those that have no idea, it is quite remote. It's it's about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive from Hobart. And then if you're walking in, it's about hour and a half, 2 hour walk as well to get to the bottom. If you go and buy a boat, you're looking at pretty much the same drive and then half-hour boat ride or ski ride. So you are like, there's no roads in there. There's just a walking trail, surrounded by cliffs. You never ever get a calm day around there. Even if it's sheet glass on top, like, it's still so rough on the way around. Like, you get so many crew that come down and think they've been out in rough seas and that kind of stuff, and then they jump on a ski ride around the shippies and they're just like, what the fuck is this place? Like, it just rattles them. So yeah, it's super remote. It's exposed. Like, there's when you're looking south, there's nothing. It's just open ocean. So it's exposed to, it is up a little bit compared to the bottom of Tasmania. So you are sort of protected from really west swells, but anything else, it's just fully exposed. Obviously the bluff there is the iconic feature of the area, and it's you got no idea how big it is until you're standing at the bottom of it looking up. It's such a feature in itself. It's so beautiful, and everything down there is just like Land of the Giants. Like, all the boulders that you see at the base of the bluff or out near the lineup and that, they're all huge. They're like the size of buses or small trucks and that kind of stuff. And then you got the huge cliff, and then you're surrounded like this huge amphitheatre that goes the whole way around the bay. Beautiful, like, you got the big cliffs, but then you just got beautiful trees and shrubs and that just line the top of those cliffs and creep down to the water's edge. And then you got the wave itself, and like, that's another amazingly unique thing about the place, is the way that wave breaks. I guess the step of it, it's like two slabs of rock, pretty much. You got the one on takeoff and then the one on the inside, and the swells come in and they hit that first slab of rock, and then it starts sucking out, and it's almost like a standing wave as it waits for the swell line to catch up to it, and then it folds over, and then the same thing happens on that inside shelf, which is the step. That starts sucking back out, and that starts breaking on top of itself. And again, it's like a standing wave until the swell line catches back up with it. So it's got these two unique steps to it. And when you're paddling, you get the chip in off the first step, and then you got to deal with the second step. And the exciting thing about the wave is you never know what that step's going to do. It could hold off and not break and then just turn into this heaving slab, or sometimes it curls over itself and then just starts breaking inside itself. And more than likely, you're not going to actually make that wave, because it just turns into a ball of whitewash and just swallows you. And so it's super exciting as you're dropping in and you're looking at that step and you're focusing on where you got to get to, and you're not sure what's going to happen. And it can be super, I guess, frightening when you start seeing it gurgle and turn into whitewash, because you're more than likely in for a pretty horrendous wipe out.
So on that, like, you're as local as it gets there. You've been surfing it forever. You still struggle to predict what waves will do every time you catch them?
To an extent, for sure. Like, I mean, you do your best to, like, as I said, I'm not as gung-ho as I used to be, and I sit out there for hours, and I'll be really patient, and I don't know, there's probably plenty of waves that I should turn and have a crack on, but I always have one in my brain that I want to get that day. Some days it comes, some days it doesn't, and you just roll with it. But there's you've got a fair idea after time and experience out there. You got a fair idea on what's going to happen, but in the end, you just can't. You just like especially if you got something with a bit of size on it, and if the tide's a little bit lower, you really don't know what it's going to do. And then you take that to a big swell, big toe swell, and a low tide. Like, fuck me, you're letting go of the rope, and you're just taking a gamble, really. Like it's scary sometimes thinking about, like, you really just, to an extent, you know the angle the swell's coming in on, and you're sort of seeing where it's biggest, and you're watching how much water's draining off. But you don't really know what it's going to do and how it's going to break until you're committed.
Yeah. Into it. Yeah. Well, it's a crazy wave. I love watching it. But going back to the very early start of this, and like I said, I don't want to dive too much into the book. So if I do get too close to the book, just we can skip that question. Yeah. But what was it like? Like, you were in there as early days as it gets with shippies, really. I think you had Andy Campbell, I think it was Polly before you. They trusted you with the keys to that place. But if that ever got out back early days, it would have, like it did, change the world of surfing as soon as it did come out. How'd that feel to have that key in your back pocket?
Well, I guess it wasn't really, I guess, as locked up as maybe what everyone thinks. Like, so,
right.
There's a number of locals that have paddled out there and potentially surfed it, and that kind of stuff, and some boogers back in the early days as well. And you're always hearing the stories about this and that, and which is epic. I love that stuff. So it's like, who knows what's happened in the past? Like, in reality, like, I've got no idea. We're going on scripts and that from thousands of years ago, but all we know is what we've experienced as ourselves. But so for me, like, we had a group of locals that had been down there in the past, Andy Campbell and Polly, and but before I surfed it, like, I think a couple of the other lads, like Jimmy Homer, he definitely surfed it before me. Dustin Holick, and a few of the other boys, I think, too. Maybe a couple of them. But then you also had a couple of the pros that had flown in, like Rasta and Margot, with filmer Justin Gain. They did a couple of early missions in with Cambo and Polly, and then you had all those, I guess, the big Tracks story that came out, Tracks magazine, when Kieran Pero, I think it was Drew Courtney, Mark Matthews, can't remember if anyone else, but that was just such a monumental day. Like, those crew were charging it, and they'd never been here before. They knew nothing about the place, and they went down there and just went nuts, and that was crazy, So, from the get-go, people have been down there, not and before me, but back in those early days, yes, it was always a little bit of hush around the topic, and especially for me, like, when I was sort of shown the footage for the first time, I was pretty much told to say, "Shut up, you haven't seen anything, and we'll take you down there one day soon," and that was it. But I was which was epic, to that secrecy, and that it just adds to the excitement, and it just made the experience that much better.
Yeah, it's nice to have that kind of secret in your back pocket, because they're tough to come by these days. But I'm not super familiar with when it went from, because I do remember those old stories with Mark Matthews and that kind of thing, and I remember that photo which is in your book of Andy Campbell, that big one. Mm-hmm. At what point did it just become a free-for-all, and how did that transition sort of occur?
It's I guess it was 2004. Like, I don't know, maybe even, what can you do, really? Like, we were just young. Like, we didn't really, I guess, think about the ramifications of anything for the future when we were first starting out. Like, we were just down there surfing it, looking up to our elders, both local and people that have flown in, and just going, "This is fucking mad. Like, this is crazy what's going on here." And we were just part of the journey, I guess there's always been crew flying in. It's just it's the type of wave that it attracts people. Like if you want it, you come down and have a crack. And I guess over time it was obviously it's a really small lineup. And it's not like chokes or pipe or other waves where you can sort of scramble and catch smaller ones between sets and that kind of stuff. There's only a certain amount of good waves that actually break out there. And sometimes you have sessions that like you're relying on swell forecasts. And so, a swell might look like it's going to be amazing. And then on the day it's fizzer. And then you got like half a dozen people that have flown in for it. You got 10 locals down there and you're all bobbing around and waiting for a 6 to 8 footer to break. And so it was, I guess over time, it got more crowded and a lot busier. And that was sort of when it was sort of, I don't know, sort of starting to trigger people about how many crew were coming in for swells and that kind of stuff. And, we wait around all summer for the first swell, and then there might only be 2 or 3 swells in a season, or there might be 20. You never know. So you really want to, I guess, try to get a few waves when the swells are there. So I mean, over time, it's definitely blown right out, but it's just one of those things. That's nature, and it's human nature as well to
chase it. And as locals, do you get a bit of a pick of the bunch, or it's just a free for all out there when it gets crowded?
No, I like to think that there's that the lineups sort of respectable, and I like to think that the people that come down do respect the locals, and just like any other location of any serious wave in the world. There's no difference down here. And in return, you're more than likely the people that do pay respect are going to end up scoring bombs anyway. So it's just sort of the way it works in the surfing world. And people that aren't a part of that, or sort of haven't grown up having that in their lives, don't probably understand it so much. But it has to happen that way, because if it doesn't, there is no order, and it's chaos. And that's when
people die.
Shit. And the lineup, the vibe in the lineup's gone. At the moment, I like to think that we got a really nice vibe down there. You got the crew on the rocks that carry on, and it's loud, and then you got the crew in the boats going off, and then the lineup, everyone's having good chats, and I feel it's got a really nice vibe. And there's days where it's not that good and the vibe's a little bit different, but we still try to hold it together. And then on the pumping days, everyone's carrying on and the sun's out and it's spitting barrels and everyone's having a ball.
Yeah, how good's that? Yeah, the vibe's something I hear a lot about actually down there. And I guess it's probably a Tassie thing as well. Like they had the Shark Island Challenge down at Cronulla only recently, the bodyboarding one, or this year at some point. And all I've heard about is the Tassie crew that came up for it, just screaming, carrying on, going mental. There's a couple of guys in it, and that vibe. It's just a laid back vibe. It's the go.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that, because I've traveled around the world a bit, and I've been to some places, and the surf's been pumping, and no one's getting into it. Like no one's feeling it. Well, they're not. They're not showing that they're feeling it if they are. And I just found it very weird. And I'd see someone in a barrel and I'd hoot them and that, and no one else would. And I'd be like, going on. This is a bit weird. Like, it was like it was just bizarre. But I guess that's sort of how it's always been down here. Everyone's sort of getting around each other, and I guess that sort of flowed on to other places.
Yeah. No, it's so good to see. You got to have the stoke. It just changes everything. So, it's mad to see. So before we wrap up on the shippies things, I've got 2 follower questions. So this is a new thing we're doing. So we've just kicked off this broadcast channel. So if you are listening and you want to ask any questions, To anyone we have on, we'll announce it in that broadcast channel first, and then you can just shoot us a DM or reply in that channel. It's a bit of a pain in the arse, though, but DMs work. So this is the first time we've done it, and we got 2 questions for you. Right. The first one, so we've obviously seen big vids and pics of shippies. Have we seen it as big as it can get? And if not, how big you reckon it can handle?
Okay. Well, I think there's been, like, as I said, that swell in, I think it was 2012. That was probably the biggest swell I've seen on the charts as far as we've surfed it. There's probably been other days where a bigger wave has been ridden, but the average swell that day wasn't as big as that other day. I mean, nature's nature. You know, you can't predict what's going to happen. Like, there could be we've only been tracking this shit for such a small amount of time when the world's bloody millions of years old. Like, you never know what kind of storms are ahead. And so, I mean, it's a question that you can't really answer, because, like, I 100% believe there's going to be a bigger day. Like, fuck, we've only been chasing it 20 years. There's going to be a bigger day for sure. Whether it's rideable, I don't know. Like, it's really tough. There's probably going to be a wave that breaks on that really big day if it comes with nice, clean conditions. That would be rideable. But it definitely gets to a stage where it really just starts mutating and getting too big for the reef. But if the right one hits it at the right angle with the right amount of water on the reef, it could possibly be rideable. So, yes, there's I reckon it's going to get bigger, and it'll probably be surfed on a bigger swell. Whether a bigger wave gets ridden than what's already been ridden, don't know.
Yep. Hopefully. And the second one, mate, and I'm actually glad they sent this one in because I forgot about this. So they want to hear a story off the Santa Claus session. What's the go with that? So that was you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dropping into shippies in a Santa Claus suit?
Yeah. God, that was so long ago, but it was so epic. Like, we don't really get swells in summer at all. And then to have one pop up on the charts that was on Christmas Eve.
Oh, was it? Yeah. I don't know anything about it. I've only seen the picture.
Anyway, on the lead up to that swell, on the lead up to Christmas, I should say, Gibbo had in his mind, he's always been an ideas man, Gibbo. He had in his mind that, I want to get a Santa suit and just go get some shots surfing. Not directly related to shippies, just shot surfing anywhere. Right. And then this swell popped up, and it was Christmas Eve, and we were like, what the fuck? This can't be happening. And so we put everything in motion. We went and got this Santa outfit and had this red pair of jeans, and we went down there, and it was like a 30-degree day. The sun was out. It was beautiful. It was just us down there. There was probably about a dozen of us, I reckon, maybe a few more. And the conditions they weren't pumping, but it was pretty sick. Like, and it was like sort of 8 to 12 foot, couple of tow waves, couple of paddle waves, and the vibe was insane. Everyone was just having a ball, crew getting on the cans and just hooting and carrying on. And went out there to get a couple of waves in the Santa suit, and I'm like, fuck, I'm just going to wipe out and I'm going to lose it first go and it's going to be over. And I ended up getting like 6 or 7 waves and didn't wipe out once, and one of them had a pretty nuts step on it.
Yeah.
If you've seen a photo of that.
I think that's the photo I have seen where you airdropping.
Yeah, I think I'm using it on my Instagram at the moment for a bit of promo, but and we were just losing it. We were just cracking up and pissing ourselves about how this day had came together. We were actually down here on Christmas Eve. We got the Santa suit, and we got some hilariously good shots from it as well. It was just so funny. But we ended up having such a good day that day, and we jumped on the boat, went home, and just went straight into the biggest party. It was wild at the clubhouse, and yeah, we all just raged until the early hours, and then just relived the moment over and over.
It's so good. It's such an epic shot as well.
Yeah.
What year was that in?
Oh, geez, you got me now. I think I've written it somewhere.
Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, a while ago.
2010, I reckon.
Oh, that far? Yeah, right.
Probably longer.
Yep.
It could have even been earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew I seen it a long time ago, and it must have been on your Instagram. I seen it again when this fella brought it up. I was looking for a photo.
Yeah,
it's a fucking crack up.
Christmas comes along and Givo will send me screenshots of people that have been posting that, and it's just like, it's doing the rounds again. It's like
every year. It's the gift that keeps giving.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a ripper, mate. Let's move on. So the next one I want to talk about, Pedra Branca. Now, this wave just blows my mind every time I see it in photos or videos. I can't even fathom it in the flesh. Like, it's just pure nightmare fuel. So, again, can you kick us off with telling us about that wave itself?
Yeah. So, about 30 k's out to sea off the south coast of Tasmania, middle of the ocean, and there's two bloody rocks that stick out of nowhere.
Yeah.
One is Pedra Branca, and about 2 kilometres inside of that is another one that's just this pinnacle rock, and that's Eddystone rock. Eddystone is the rock that we actually surf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Pedra Branca's just, I guess Pedra's like the most well-known rock out there. So
that's the pinnacle one, is it?
No. So Eddystone's the pinnacle, but Pedra's is big. I guess it's well known for the fact that there's like this skink lizard that lives out there that's not found anywhere else in the world. And scientists go down there and study it. And then years and years ago, there was a couple of scientists down there, and this storm brewed up out of nowhere. And it was just like this full, intense storm that just, it took everyone by surprise, and there wasn't enough time to get these scientists off the rocks. Anyway, the swell was getting bigger and waves were just fully engulfing the rock. The rock's like, I don't know, 50 meters high or something, and the waves were swallowing it. And anyway, the scientists went to get shelter. And I might have parts of this story wrong, but it's just the parts that I think I know.
Yep.
And as they were going to get shelter, this huge wave came over the top of the rock. One of them was able to get in a crack, and the other one got washed off, and I don't think they ever found him. But that's, I guess, why that that rock's so well known.
Okay.
For one, because of the lizard, and for two, because the scientist that lost his life out there. But yeah, so when you're out there surfing it, obviously middle of nowhere, you're looking for the prime conditions. I guess for all your fishos, this is like a bit of a hot spot. Like, there's a crew come from all over the world to fish out there.
Yeah,
get big dogs, and as you've seen in my book, Sam Lennox, who's a mad booger, but he's also a mad spearo as well.
Yeah, he's a maniac. He gets some big stuff.
Water, jumps in and spears 100 kilo tuna. Like,
it's wild,
crazy, and it's renowned for being like shark sightings all the time out there. Not small ones, big fuckers.
Yeah.
So
big lights too, aren't they? Sorry.
Yeah. So it's so for what he does out there, it's just gnarly.
Yeah.
But when you're surfing out there, you're sort of focusing, looking out at Pedra, and big ones that come through. It's pretty wild. Like, you'll see a big splash out there, and then the horizon will go black, and then you'll know it's about 5 minutes until it actually gets to where you're surfing. Probably 2 to 5 minutes, I reckon, somewhere around there. But and then it obviously comes out of super deep water because it's in the middle of nowhere, and then just hits this rock shelf that's right next to this pinnacle rock, which is Eddystone, and then just folds over it. And I won't it's hard for me to tell stories and then make sure I don't give away bits of the book. But
yeah, of course. Yeah,
that's pretty much the area, middle of nowhere. The sea life is out of control. The birds are out of control. And then we sort of jump over the side and try to survive.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just the outlook, all the seabirds you see out there. I didn't know there was some endangered skink out there either, which is a weird spot for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was sick how you put like Dave White out in the book as well, and his experience, like crazy life. Like, is he a pretty integral part to the crew and finding these waves?
Yeah. So as he sort of speaks about, he's a mad surfy, cray fisherman, and that's his life. That's as soon as he got into that role, he knew he'd found it, and nothing's changed. He's probably like 60 years old or something, and he's still just the same frother. He's a fun dude to party with and a fun dude to surf with and go on missions with, and yeah, he has been a really big part of our journey down here. From the early days, a lot of my mates had been deckhands for him.
Yeah.
And they'd always come home and talk their adventures and waves they surfed and just the fun times they had in this such remote part of the world, which is the Tassie Southwest, all the way up around Port Davey, and that's just phenomenal, like next level, pristine, untouched beauty. And yeah, so it's I guess without going into the story too much, I ended up meeting him, and then other friends over years met him, and he started taking us on adventures, and we'd go out for 3 or 4 days at a time and just go to real remote areas and surf and hunt and really try to find new waves. Like that's all we that was our life, was just researching, chasing swells and looking at possibilities of what else could be out there.
Yeah. Wow.
And then he got us on to he was our sort of gateway to Pedra, which
it's crazy. So another thing I didn't realize until I read the book, and again, if I do go too far into it, we can edit out whatever we like. But I didn't realize the first time Pedra was surfed was in that Storm Surfers movie. And the second aspect, I didn't realize you were the first one ever to ride it.
Yeah.
That's a claim, that one. Like, how did you manage to be up front? Like, was it luck of the draw, or how did you end up on top to ride it first? Because you had a crew out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really, I don't know if I'm going to be able to tell that without sort of giving away parts of the book, but geez, I'd love to. But
no, that's all right. Don't go too far into it. I'm skimming the edges here.
Sorry, that's just such a big part of my story, I think.
We'll cut that little bit out.
That and you can put this in, that first trip out to Pedra or Eddystone Rock was the biggest achievement of my surfing journey. That's the thing that's really felt the most special to me. And for a couple of reasons. And it's something that I'll always remember. And I'm stoked. Yeah.
The first man on the Pedra moon. It's just crazy. So on Pedra again, I spoke to James Holmacross about this, and just thinking about, I thought about it heaps since then. I've probably woken up at 2 a.m. a bunch of times just going, what even goes through your mind in this? So he said, when you're out there on a big swell, I assumed you'd be sitting on the back of the ski, and then you'd have an indicator, maybe like you see it on the horizon or hit that other rock. Then you jump in the water, grab the rope, and away you go. But he said a lot of the time he just sits in the water waiting.
Yeah.
Like, is that what you do? You just sit there just like a big lure?
Yeah, I guess so. You just get normalised to it.
Yeah.
You are out at this sort of pretty psycho location, and you sort of just get normalised to being behind the rope, sitting out there. It depends how you're feeling on your board as well. If your straps are a bit dicky and it takes a bit of time to get into them and to get comfortable in them, then you don't really want to risk missing a wave by making adjustments and that. So yeah, you can You do have the option to sit on the ski and that, and if you're efficient at it, that's probably a smart place to be. But yeah, a lot of the time we're just bobbing around out there. Just you just sort of zone out a bit. You start chatting to your ski driver or chatting to the other crew that are sitting next to you and that, and you just sort of don't really think too much about what's underneath.
Because it's deep out there too. That deep blue water, apparently.
Yeah, 120 plus meters, I reckon, and yeah, it's and as we've said, like the sea life out there is crazy. There's always seals popping up next to you, and birds diving, and schools of fish going past, and yeah, it's wild. But yeah, as I said, like your focus is surfing, and you're just sort of just keeping an eye on the horizon and bobbing over swells, waiting for the one that looks good.
Yeah. Has there ever been close calls out there with any big fish?
I think the boys have had once or twice, not when I've been out there. But yeah, I think they've had a couple of close calls. There was one fisherman that actually, I think it was the last time they surfed it last year, and they were out there surfing it. They'd done a full day, like 5 or 6 hours in the water.
Yep.
A couple of boats, because it was a really beautiful day, so there was a couple of boats fishing out there, and you're intrigued. If you're a fisher, you're intrigued at what the hell's going on, and there's geese buzzing around and that. So they came and watched, and I think it was that trip. And then later on that night, they got sent a photo by one of the fishermen of this massive white pointer, and it was out there that day. Yeah, and they didn't tell them about it or anything.
Didn't they?
No, they just sent the photo. Just got circulated that day, that night.
Yeah,
and they worked it out. It was the same day.
No way.
Yeah, so that's pretty scary. But yeah, I mean, as far as sharks, like there's been with most of the surfers, there's been a couple of occasions of a few scary moments, but yeah, thankfully no one has met them to close proximity.
Yeah, lucky.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, how does a wave like Pedra compare to a wave like Shippies? They're coming out of that super deep. Is it similar, or are they a different sort of wave? Because I don't know how deep Pedra is when it breaks.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's there's a lot of differences in it. Like Shippies is just shallow slab, really close to the shoreline. As I said, it's sort of up in the bay a little bit, so you do have a slight bit of protection from Bruny Island and stuff like that. Whereas the Pedra is a lot more affected by, I guess, the winds from the previous day or the night or anything like that. Like you're really chasing ideally under 5 knots of offshore wind. But we've been out there when it's sort of been 10 to 15, and it's surfable, but it's bloody hard work.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the way that it breaks, it's sort of Pedra's. It folds. It's like it comes in and it folds over as a peak, whereas Shippies comes in and it sort of has 2 peaks. It sort of folds over on the takeoff and then the end, where you can't take off on the end at Shippies. Like it's just, you can't do it. You got to be on the takeoff zone.
Yeah.
Whereas Pedra, you can sort of whip in and sort of hook into any part of the wave. And the boys in the last 2 sessions I've had out there, they've been having a crack at paddling too. It's sort of like this new realm. Like it's like, okay, we've always towed it, and now there's like, okay, so where can we be able to slide down these paddling? And so it's given a new perspective of where to sit out there and what waves to sort of look for, and what swells to look for as well. But yeah, they're definitely very different waves.
Yeah, okay. Look, mate, I'll probably leave the stories there because I'm skirting pretty close to the sun here. And but I do have one final question on surfing. So do you, Dave, Wyatt, any of you fellas, do you have a secret wave down there where you go to get away that's, if it does get out one day, it's going to change the world of surfing again?
Nah. I mean, there's waves that I definitely think have potential, but it's so remote, these waves, that to actually score it and know that it's got that that level of I guess perfection and what we're after is, you know, it's really struggled to actually be down there when the conditions are perfect enough for us to know. It's, and you know, as time goes on, your time's more precious. You have kids and shit, and so you see a swell, and it's just like chippies. It's just there, but you know you're going to get pitted. It's but you know, I've definitely got a couple of missions I want to do before I die. And I'm sure the other boys too, and they're probably to the same locations. But but as far as a wave that we've already surfed, and we're going to keep sort of hunting once Shivvies gets out of control, I don't know. I mean, for me, no. I'd like to, but it's potentially one. But,
okay. Good answer.
Yeah.
And then I guess before we wrap up as well, I've noticed on your socials a lot, you've had a lot of, I guess, environmental calls to action. What's that all about, and where can people check that out?
You know, like if you love the ocean, and if you have anything to do with the ocean coastline, if you're human in general, it should be, but you know, you should be caring about what's going on around you, and how the governments and big corporate businesses are making decisions about what they think is right for the rest of humanity. And you know, we've had a lot of battles with the fish farms and that. And they started off as a little boutique industry that was probably could have been successful and not caused dramas and not fucked up coastal areas, but now it's blown out, and like they're all run by international corporations that have no connection to the area, no care for the area. Yeah, they do employ local people, but the ocean and the coastline, like around where we live, is so precious, or around where anyone lives, it's precious, and we got to do what we can to take care of it. And if there's other options out there for these businesses to succeed, then why aren't we looking at those other options? And then as far as the government's concerned, they really need to take more responsibility in what they let these companies get away with. Like there just needs to be you know, a bit more thought into the impact that it can have, and that's not happening at the moment. So I mean, there's a few websites. There's one or Facebook page, Friends of the Bays, which is all to do with this fish farm expansion out at Storm Bay here. So it's pretty much the area that is the start of all the surf breaks around the Hobart area and up into Dodgers Ferry. And you know, it's where all your recreational fishermen fish, and you know, all your a lot of the Hobart surfing community surfs around these areas. Like it's really pristine environment, and the community revolves around it. And if that gets destroyed, like it's going to be fucking.
It's not coming back.
Yeah. So you know, there's a bit of fire in amongst us at the moment to try to stop that expansion from happening, and try to sort of get them to think about other avenues to try to go down. I mean, my old man, he fishes out of North Clifton every fucking day.
Yeah.
And he fishes for salmon, and that's what he lives off, and that's what he provides to the neighbourhood. And, you know, if that's taken away, you know, you're destroying, like, that's just one person. Like, there's so many other people out there that are connected to it. So,
Yeah, well, I guess without that noise, they're definitely not going to stop. So, and I think that's the trouble as well. You don't hear about this sort of stuff a lot of the time. It gets really well contained. So, yeah, we'll have to throw a few of those links around so people can check it out and hopefully get a few more eyes on it at least. Sure. So we'll have to make sure we do that. But yeah, look, Marty, like like I said, this is just a brief overview of this book. It's the best surf book I've ever read. The way it's put together, everything, it's 10 out of 10 for sure. So I'll have to put this link in my bio. Obviously, let everyone know where they can get it. We'll throw the links around as well, but where can everyone get it before it does sell out?
Yeah, I guess the one thing I sort of want to say to anyone that's listening, like this book, whether you surf or not, whether you have a connection to the ocean or not, fishing, whatever it is, there's something in there for everyone. They're not just stories about surfing. They're stories about resilience, camaraderie, adventure, the Tasmanian beauty and raw nature of the place through the photos. Like it's something else entirely more than just a book on surfing. So, and as I said at the beginning, the stories go pretty deep. But as far as where to get it from, we've got a website, whentheoceanawakens.com. We ship all around the world, so that's no issue. Also run a stall at a couple of markets down here, including Salamanca. So if you're ever in Tassie and want to come say good day, I'm more than happy to have a chat, sign a book, and say good day. There's also a few other local stores a few other local bookstores and surf stores and that kind of stuff as well that have it in stock. So there's a few options, and you can follow us on Instagram, When the Ocean Awakens.
Yep.
And I've got a couple of ideas for a few other projects in the future. So I'm pretty amped on getting this out there to the world and being able to get stuck into what's next.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And you're dead right on that. It's not just a book for surfers. Like the stories and the way you tell them, anyone can read this, and they're real, they're raw, and they're authentic. So it's an incredible book. I'm going to cherish this book. This one's, it's going on the mantle, that's for sure. So, hey, I was going to ask as well, have you ever thought about turning it into a bit of an audio book? Obviously, you can't have the photos, but...
Yeah, no, I have, for the fact that I reckon I've edited 2/3 of the stories down. Like say, each story, like it started off being really long.
Yeah,
super interesting, but I really wanted to refine these down to short stories so people could sort of just chip away at it and read a story here and there.
Yeah.
But as far as the characters' stories go, there's so much more to it, and I could go into so much more detail about like the lead ups to swells and injuries and all that kind of stuff and adventures and that kind of stuff. And so I've got the original drafts of all these stories that, I could definitely, turn into an audio book or, something for Kindle or an ebook and anything like that. It definitely has the potential. The story, the photos are something else, and really just make this coffee table book just the complete package. But there's definitely potential for something else as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to that one because I love my audiobooks. But look, Marty, absolute legend. Like, it was a privilege to chat to you. It's been a long time coming. I've been looking forward to it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Like, you Tassie crew, you're all built different, and this book, it just strengthens that opinion. Like, it's a different place down there, and one day I can't wait to get down there and really spend some time down there and check it out. So looking forward to chatting again.
Yeah, really appreciate it. And just one last thing, I guess I wanted to touch on that. I couldn't have done this without the people that worked with me. So all the characters in the book, all the photographers, like, it's just been such a team effort. My designer Katie, my editor Simon, and my partner Jamie. Like, she's such a big part of this too. Like, she gone through every challenge that I've had, we've done together and took it on. And, it's still, now we're sort of going into the next phase of it, and she's still there with me the whole time, helping out and that. So, all these people play such a big role, and to have it to where we are now and starting to get feedback from people all around the world is just so epic. Just hear the feedback from people and how they're enjoying it, or how they've taken certain things from it and used it in their own lives, and that is just, it's really uplifting and makes it so rewarding to be where we are at the moment. But I really appreciate you having me on, Dan. It's been a good chat, and mate, I haven't crapped on too much. And
it's good. You've kept it easy. You've spoken well, but just another thing on that, like, that's probably one of the most impressive things in this book is the collaboration of so many people, and being able to put that together with the photos is just, it's special. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Marty. You're a legend, mate. I really appreciate your time.
Cheers, bro.